the original, and the Obama variant.
Well, hey guys, that sure was a note to start on, wasn't it? Anyway, hey guys, this is Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow back for another episode this week. I'm Jonathan. Currently, I am one-handed Jonathan because unfortunately I injured my wrist this week, and so I'm in quite a bit of pain. So I'm just if you see me like sitting like this with my arm over here, yeah, that's because I'm really not supposed to use it at all. So I'm Jonathan, and right down there promoting politics, I guess, is James. Say hello to the people,
You didn't
James.
know you didn't say we were going live on the air. Now we're gonna piss off somebody who's like going for Ted Cruz or Trump, and I don't care. It's whatever you vote for, you vote for. I don't care. People, you vote for who you're voting for. I vote for who I'm voting for. Who cares? Somebody's gonna win. Somebody's gonna lose. No big deal. Anyways, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm tired. I'm really sore as hell from work. But besides that, everything's going good. After I worked last night, I went out with some friends, had a few drinks. You know, we had a burger at a movie theater because there's a movie theater in the city right next to us that literally has a bar and grill built into it. It's a really nice movie theater. They got live music. They got like really comfy super seats. Really nice. It's really cool. So that's gonna be my shout out at the end of this episode. It's gonna be for them. That theater, badass. So we did that. And then next week I hope to go back to that same theater again to see Captain America. Because I'll be all badass to see the Captain America there. So I got all that stuff going on. I got, you know, work. Like I said, work is work. You know, can't really say much. I'm tired. School, same thing. Cause I'm basically doing the same thing at work I'm doing at school. I'm in a kitchen all day making burgers and stuff like that. So
hot damn, James, you got to start.
Yeah, literally, it's like yay! Now I get to leave school from where I'm making all this food in a hot kitchen to go back another 7 hours to a hot kitchen making food.
I feel like
my life.
I feel like James may be questioning his career choices right now.
No, I don't. I love cooking, so I don't mind it. It's just the hours right now of being, you know, part-time for working because of school to help pay for school. Yeah. So yeah, I got all that stuff going on, and you know that's about it for this week. Watching the NFL draft.
Watching the NFL draft, which I don't care. The Browns are dead to me. They're just get out of my city. Just get out of my city. I will pay you. Get out of my city.
But they already did, John. They already did left your city, and then came back.
Exactly. So they have to leave again.
Which immediately makes every Cleveland Brown fan now hate you because there was death threats and all that stuff going down in '94 when they first moved.
Yeah, well, I'd really like them to move again because I'm really sick of the Browns and I don't like them anymore. And if the Browns were to just pick up and move away, I feel like my life would be a heck of a lot better. No more Cleveland Browns. Just get out of my city. All right, but what are we going to talk about this week? Well, this week, expect a shorter show this week. We don't have a whole lot to talk about this week. Next week, though, we can tell you right now. And yes, I have a flash drive that is Leonard from The Big Bang Theory. And it's really kind of creepy because in order to get to the flash drive, you have to take his head off, which is, I don't know. I guess maybe sociopaths get a kick out of that. I don't know. I personally find it kind of creepy. But yes, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So next week is going to be a pretty big show because James, can you think of anything that's going to happen next week?
No, I actually cannot. I'm trying to think right now, and I can't. Nothing's popping in my head. Maybe reviewing some of these back issues I have here, like this or that. Like I have no idea what we would be talking about. There's something big. I think that's coming out next week. Do you have any idea what's big next week that we could talk about?
Oh, you know what comes out next week? You know what comes out next week?
Oh yeah, that superhero movie where the guy who's very patriotic fights the billionaire playboy with a lot of tech, and it all leads to a big superhero fight and build up to another superhero movie and team ups. But that movie already came out. It's called Batman v Superman.
Yeah, but here's the difference. This movie is actually going to be good. Ooh, you see what I did? You see what I did there? Yeah. I did not like Batman v Superman. I did not like it. Not at all.
And I thought it was meh at best. Everybody did. Like, even when we walked out, we went to go see Ratchet and Clank, a whole group of friends of ours, we all walked out. After we walked out of Ratchet and Clank, we were all like, talking about in all the movies we have seen so far this year, everybody, when we got to Batman v Superman, almost everybody has the same opinion. It's either meh, like it's okay, it's not good, it's not good, it's okay. It's a quote Roman Reigns, no wrestling quote. It's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie. It's a movie.
Yeah, and see, here's the difference. Captain America Civil War, at least I hope, it's going to be good. Reviews seem positive right now. In fact, very positive.
Oh, everybody. The only complaint people have had that I find really hilarious, because when you think about it, is that, oh, the villain sucks. But it's like, other than Loki, what else is new when it comes to the MCU?
And so, at least we have hope. So, good. Now, please, Captain America Civil War, please be good when I go and see you on Thursday, because, please.
Please, I get off of work sometime Thursday night so I can go see the movie on Thursday.
Yes, I'm sure James would like to go see the movie on Thursday.
If not, I'll just say something like, "Hey, can I come in like a couple hours later? Because coming out, I need to see this movie. Please let me come in a few hours later. I need to see this movie. Please." I'm not gonna really do that. I'm not gonna really beg in my boxes to go see a movie, but like that's all basically how I'll feel. Like when I walk into the schedule, I'm gonna be like, please, it says I can go see Captain America. Please, it says I got enough time to go see Captain America.
Yes, but we are excited for that movie coming out next week. But it is not next week yet. It is only this week. But tomorrow we will be viewing this as last week. You see how you see that's really what perspective does to you. But this week we got a few new trailers, I guess you could say, for this movie. They're not really trailers, they're just like
TV spots. They're commercials.
We got some commercials for this movie, and the reason we're talking about them is because they have provided us little tiny snippets. And when I say little tiny snippets, I mean like very minuscule, like very
like
small.
5 seconds combined makes up the runtime
Of Spider-Man in this movie. We get to hear him speak a little bit more. And we get to see him do a little bit more. Just a little bit. Like, really.
He kicks Falcon in the face.
What he does is there is a TV spot where he swings in, crashes through a window, kicks Falcon in the face, which looked like it had to hurt like hell. And,
it's Spider-Man going for a window, so I have to say my now line anytime somebody goes for a window. Hey, Falcon, I got you a shit.
And
hey, Falcon, I'm finally in this shit.
And so then he goes up to Bucky, and Bucky tries to hit him, and Spider-Man catches it like a badass, which I thought was awesome.
Which goes to show the importance and strength of the spider being used, because that's a cybernetic robotic hand going full force, and he just stops it midair with his own hand.
Which
a
I thought
15-year-old kid stops an elite assassin with a robotic metal arm, and he stops it mid-air, and he goes, "Whoa, you got a metal arm? That is awesome, dude."
I will admit, when I saw that scene, I had this, like, I was in school, I was between classes, and I got to say, like, I just sat down, like, on a couch in a hallway somewhere and watched the clip, and literally, I'm so glad that no one saw me. The hallway happened to be empty at the time, and I was happy about that because I had the stupidest grin on my face.
I found out about it because I was either coming home from school or I came home from work. I checked Skype and I saw John gave me a message, which was a link to the TV spot, the commercial, which I still find hilarious that John didn't know what a commercial was like 5 minutes ago. He was like, "It's not really a trailer. I don't know what you would call it. A commercial. It aired during TV. It's a commercial, John."
Well, James, do you know what this is?
Yes, it's a middle finger. That's not on a commercial.
Okay, that was a good one, James. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but you know, I liked it. You know, it's not really a lot. You know, it's very Peter. Like I told John, it's very like that's like Peter what he would say. And that's when he was 15. Like if you go back to the Stanley era and there were people saying awesome and dude, that's basically what he would have been saying to them when he met him for first. He'd be like, "You got a metal suit? That's so cool. You got a shield? That's so cool. You're full." Like he did do that stuff when he met the other hero. Okay, not really. He kind of was like an arrogant asshole. Like almost like they'll go like, hey Spider, want to join the Avengers? I'm better than you guys. Go buy Amazing Spider-Man. It's like, wait,
No, remember it was Avengers annual. No, it was ASM annual number 3, and they're like, oh hey Spider-Man, you want to join the Avengers? This is a test. They want me to fight them, and so he just tries to fight the Avengers for no reason.
Everybody though. So if you could like some people say, if you go back and read like the whole Stanley era of Marvel, and if Spider-Man's crossing over all the heroes, you can see why people thought of him as a little annoying prick, because he was kind of an ass to us.
It's like, oh hey, I'm gonna fight the Avengers. Oh hey, I'm just gonna try to steal the Human Torch's girlfriend because comics, evidently.
Oh, I'm gonna trash his party.
Yes, I'm gonna crash the Human Torch's party.
And trash it by literally raising hell and leaving. And then don't forget, there's an issue. I want to see it's Iron Man or Avengers, where Iron Man is trying to find somebody, and he's in New York. He goes to Spider-Man because he's at that Spider-Man area in New York, Midtown. And he goes to Spider-Man, and he talks to him. And he's like, I have no time for you. I'm in the middle of something. Bye. And he starts making fun of him, calling him a tin can. And it's like, no wonder they all thought you were an asshole for years. No wonder they all thought you were an asshole. Which now people write off as, well, he's a teenager, and he was probably in the middle of like some stressful thing because it's Peter Parker, and he's probably stressing out about some Aunt May and whatever superhero adventure he's on right now. So Iron Man just goes, hey, can you take time out of your shit to go help me do something? And I'm super rich, Tony Stark. Fuck you. Like that's probably what he was thinking.
Yeah, I will be honest with you. That's kind of how 15-year-old teenagers. That's kind of how they are. It's just like I would expect that out of a teenager. Like I really would, and I can speak that way because I am a teenager, and so I've seen what we do. But yeah, I really liked the TV spot. It was really cool. I thought I just
thank you, John, for making me feel like I'm 1,000 years old right now by saying I'm a teenager, so I know how they act. I'm only 26, John. It wasn't that long ago I was a teenager.
Oh, really, James? I thought I had to add a couple more zeros onto that 26 there. Anyways, but yeah, so that was that TV spot came out, but also the other one that hit the airwaves this week was kind of the extended version of what we saw at the end of the second full trailer for the movie, where he swings in, captures the shield, and says, "Hey, everyone." Basically, the premise is that he says, "Hey, everyone," and Tony immediately looks over and says, "Yeah, okay, we don't need to start a conversation with them, Spider-Man. Okay, hey, Captain, big fan. Just want you to know that." And he just salutes him right there. I'm not even making that up. He salutes him right there. And Steve Rogers.
It's like some people said. It's almost like I remember the Russos have said that Spider-Man was always in their script, and they would have been screwed if the Marvel Sony deal didn't happen, if it fell apart. But it makes me think, how would they have done that movie now without Spider-Man? Because it's pretty obvious where all the comic relief seems to be, at least for that section, the movie going to be coming from. Some of it's going to be Scott Lang because he's a very comedic guy, especially with Paul Rudd being casted. So there's going to be a lot of funny things where almost like kind of Peter Parker moments with him, with Cap's side, where he's all like, "Oh, I'm Captain America. I know you guys." So they got kind of like Scott Lang, like he was probably going to be the comic relief, like the whole movie through. But now you got a Punisher, and now you got the other superhero who debuted in August of 1962, Ant-Man, who's like, the comic relief for Cap's side. And then you got the other insect themed hero who debuted in August of 1962 on the other side, who's going to be the comic relief.
Correction, James. Spiders are arachnids, not insects.
Arachnid insects, but you know what I mean. 8-legged, small buggy things. Okay, whatever, fuck it. I don't care.
But yeah, I really like that scene as well. You know why? Because Captain, big fan. As someone who is number one, a Spider-Man fan, and number two, a Captain America fan, that's good stuff for me. I like seeing them. I like that Peter has respect for him.
And as somebody who, my two favorite Marvel heroes are Spider-Man number one, and kind of a distant second is Iron Man. Because Spider-Man is like the big end-all be-all. Like, if I'm going to buy a lot of back issues, like on like my comic shop or stuff like that, it's always like, if I got enough money to buy, I'll buy like 10 issues of like Spider-Man. and then I'll buy 1 or 2 old Iron Mans. Because Iron Man ones are really cheap on there compared to a lot of Spider-Mans. But you know, as a guy who's Tony's #2 and Peter's #1, it's still weird for me to see them they're going to be on the same side of the whole movie because I'm so used to Civil War. It's being Peter on Tony's side first, and then midway through you say, "No, I'm not on your side, and I'm on bye."
And then James, then you get to watch them together in Spider-Man: Homecoming. And so, James, this is kind of this whole Spider-Man Iron Man relationship is almost like a love letter to you indirectly.
Except not, because one of the reasons why I like them is because they're so polar opposites from each other, and Civil War kind of shows that off, and post-Civil War show that off.
But even still, you get to see them on screen together. So, I guess James is just never happy with anything.
What does that mean? I'm just saying that the reason why I like what happened in the comics because it was like Peter having that father figure, and it kind of bit him in the ass and so like. And here it's just going to be no, because Robert Downey Jr. is Robert Downey Jr. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, like to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the actual reason for it. It's just like, oh hey, why is Peter on his side the entire time? Well, what's our in-universe reason? He's a teenager who doesn't know better. Okay, what's our like actual real reason? It's Robert Downey Jr. Do you really want to tell Robert Downey Jr. he's not going to do anymore? It's like
from what we have heard, Robert Downey Jr. actually does like Spider-Man. He's not going to go to a comic shop every week to buy the new issue, but like he is a Spider-Man fan at least since coming into this Marvel world with the movies. So I'm sure it could also be something too, where like he was given a list of things like you're not doing any more Iron Man movies. We're not going to do full-blown Iron Man movies. But here's a list other than Avengers. Here's a list of other movies you can appear in. And I wouldn't be surprised if he immediately goes Spider-Man, that one. Like after he got the Captain America, the second one he says gives on Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean that's really all we can say about the TV spots. There's not much else there. We will have a much more in-depth analysis of Peter Parker in Civil War next week because obviously we will have seen the movie by then. Also, by the way, I think Thomas made this rant like 2 years ago when Winter Soldier came out, and he was complaining about why does the movie titled Captain America come out in the UK before it comes out in actual America. I'm going to make that rant again. Why did the UK get this movie before we did? It's
not just them. It's every country. And if we got foreign fans, we're not mad at you. But Captain America movies, when you look at the box office, worldwide they do good all combined. But if you go to like American box office compared to like Russia and China, which are other big countries that have a huge population, that are more larger population than the United States. And we still have more people view Captain America than them. Because other countries, even though these movies come out before them, aren't really excited to go see a movie called Captain America.
It's like, guys, what logic is this? Why are you releasing Captain America in freaking Norway before you're releasing it in America? What is this? It's like I would like to get on the phone with the person who decided to make this awful decision because there's no logic here.
It's like that with every movie, though, because I guess the reasoning for it is that in other countries, pirating films are more popular than it. Like, it happens here. Don't get me wrong. There are people out there on the internet that will just download a crappy camera phone version of a movie, instead of paying the money for it. But I guess in other countries, it's, really prevalent. So that's why they do it. And no offense to other countries, it's just what people say that's what Hollywood's reasoning for doing it. So if you give it to them first, they are more or less likely to pirate it U.S. copy of it, I guess.
Like, my theory of it was, like, to go back to what you were saying, James, about how it doesn't make, how, like, the U.S. and Russia and China, they always make the biggest money for these movies. Maybe they're just, like, trying to build up to their big box office hauls, like, okay, we'll hit the smaller countries first and we'll build our way up to our big opening in the United States. Like, that's my theory, but
no, that's actually like one of the reasons. I think they gave it for like Star Wars, why it came out like a few weeks earlier, like other countries, was like Disney said it's because other countries pirating is more popular. So we're bringing, if we bring it to them first, they're less likely to pirate, U.S. copies, and then. Which is like, well, because they're still going to pirate the copies that are there. Plus, you're going to have the Americans who don't want to wait, who are now going to pirate the movie.
Yeah, there's really like no way around piracy. I don't really think there is.
Yeah, but that was like that's the reasoning Hollywood gives for it.
Yeah, but so
It's one of
that's
the reasons. It's one of the reasons why us Power Ranger fans are already joking. If the Power Ranger movie comes out in like in the Asian markets before America, it's like even the Power Ranger movie, which is 100% Power Rangers, there's no Sentai connection whatsoever. It's gonna come out in probably Japan before America, which makes it again Japan got it first.
But anyway, that's all we have to say about the TV spots. There's not much to talk about there. Like it's maybe 10 seconds of footage combined. And so there's not really a whole lot to get really into the nitty-gritty of there. Like I said, come back next week for our big movie show, which we will definitely talk about Tom Holland and Peter Parker and Spider-Man in detail. So you could tune in for that when you want to see our in-depth thoughts on MCU Spider-Man. But let's step away from the MCU and let's go to the MU, or the new MU, as Tom Brevoort likes to call it.
The new MU. He only said that one time, but it still was like the most dumbest thing ever. Because it's like he does realize that rhymes with New 52, right?
Yes, we have Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, number 11. Now, James, you remember the last time we reviewed a comic from this series?
Yes.
And it was really bad, and we just basically toured a new one. And I felt badly after that show. Like, I really did. I felt kind of badly about like some of the things that I said.
Don't forget, John, about how not only did that happen, but I also like went on like other message boards and I was talking to you about the book, and I wasn't being a troll or an asshole to them. Like I respected their opinion, but it came down to the point of when people were like coming at me and were not respecting my opinion. It's like, dude, like I was ready to like go to like war and defend my point of view for people.
To quote Tony Stark, "You just started a war."
There were assholes. There's assholes online. They were like trying to pick up by anybody who gave a negative review.
Wait a minute, James. James, there are assholes and idiots on the internet? What? What? That's new. That's news to me. Okay, that was sarcasm.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of them right now. Not helping this prove.
I was gonna say, I just realized I really was not helping my own argument there. But yes, so Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, number 11. We've got a nice Civil War II ad on the back of the comic, free comic book day. That is next Saturday, a week from today. So all you Marvel comic fans, all you comic fans in general, go out to free comic book day.
Hey, I got a question for you, John. Does that spoil, anything from Civil War II? That back cover? Because, like I said, I was going through my back issues, and I got this issue of Amazing Spider-Man here, 229. This is the issue where I wonder if Mary Jane accepts the wedding proposal or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's 50-50 based on that. I think
we talked about the way we review these issues, but I still find it's hilarious when I look at it. I'm like reading. I'm like, I'll grab a comic. I'll read it for the back issue. She says yes, okay, whatever. You get a Chips Ahoy ad, and then you go wait for the Chips Ahoy ad, and you get this. So literally, you could have just someone in the comment like, "Oh, I wonder what's going on with Peter and Mary Jane." You pick it up, you go to the back cover. Oh, well, I don't got to buy the comic now.
Oh, but we'll run down the creative team here. We got Dan Slott, writer, Giuseppe Camicoli, penciler, Cam Smith, inker, Marte Garcia, colorist, lettering, VC Joe Caramagna, cover artist, Alex Ross, assistant editor, Devin Lewis, editor, Nick Lowe, Scorpio Rising Part 3, Signs from Above.
From above the shitty storyline.
Yes, so the comic begins with an ad for a comic that I'm much more excited to read than this comic, Captain America Steve Rogers. It's sad that I'm actually more excited for Captain America Steve Rogers, my second favorite hero, than I am to read my first favorite hero, my absolute favorite hero, Spider-Man.
Hey, did you say this also last week? I mean, like 2 weeks ago, when we did the issue before, and here's the picture for Captain America #1, Steve Rogers. I'm more excited for that than I am ready to see going on with Spider-Man.
Yes, I believe I did say that, and I say it again because it's a point worth making. I should be more excited for this book It's a point worth making. So we open the issue at the International Space Station. What do you mean I can't send a message to Earth? Well, Agent Fury, apparently he's not the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know much about this Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, so...
He's not the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Last time I haven't read this S.H.I.E.L.D. book. Well, last time I checked, it was like original Sin where they introduced him and Coulson, aka the MCU versions of the characters. Last time I checked, I think Mara Hill became director of S.H.I.E.L.D. again after Nick Fury.
Oh, yeah. I'm reading Captain America Sam Wilson, where she is playing a big part in it. This is not my day. I'm sorry. This injury is just like throwing me off. I swear to God. But so Samuel L. Jackson is currently ranting in the book about how. Wait a minute. What you're telling me that I can't even get a message down to Earth? We know what to do, but I can't get it down there. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking of John Voight from Transformers. Do you mean I cannot pick up this telephone and call my family? No, John. That's what we mean by total communications blackout. But meanwhile, in Shanghai, that one dude who was in the Mr. Negative story, who made the antidote for Mr. Negative's drugs, yeah, that one dude whose name, I'm sorry, I swear to God, I can't remember it because he's that forgettable. Because, you know, he's that big. He's just so big a part of the supporting cast that I totally forgot his name.
You can say that about everybody new who was introduced in Volume 4.
Exactly. Again.
I still have no idea what the hell his girlfriend's name is.
Again, we've made these points before, and we're going to make them again because they're worth making, I swear.
Everybody, even people who like the book, are making comparisons that about how we don't know these people. Give us something. Give us an issue or just Peter's personal life with these new people so we can latch on to something.
Well, it's just like, tell us something about these people. Like, what's their favorite color? At least it'll be something. It's
like people complained about Power Rangers Megaforce, and because the Rangers were very generic and there was hardly any character development throughout that whole season. But at least we knew at least a little something about them. We knew the Black Ranger had a crush on the Yellow Ranger. We knew the Yellow Ranger was the popular girl in school. We knew the Pink Ranger liked nature and bike riding. We knew the Blue Ranger was a nerd. We knew the Black Ranger was the new kid in school. I mean, the Red Ranger was the new kid in school. We knew the Silver Ranger was an alien. We knew something. These guys, we know nothing.
And so Shanghai, San Francisco, New York, all these people are saying, "Oh man, we know how to defeat the Zodiac, but we can't get the message to Spider-Man because plot convenience." And so back in London, we're hosed. Nice pep talk, Pete. Way to rally the troops. What? Scorpio said whatever he's doing, it's taking place tonight. We don't even know where. Face it, Morse, we're in the dark. I blew it. And this time, it feels like I've let the whole world down. No, Peter, you've just let every single reader down who is bashing their head against a wall at this awful dialogue right now and is saying, wow, suddenly Henry Cavill's playing Spider-Man. You know why? Because he's a whiny emo bitch.
This is like, it's getting to the point of, he just over the last issue saying, I'll stop you. And then he's immediately like going to the people who he wants help from going, I have nothing.
No, James, I will get to that. Don't worry. I'll get to that.
Oh, trust me, I've got a lot of work to say when we get to the last few pages here. This is where the comic loses me with some of the stuff.
So the Zodiac, they go to the Prime Meridian, which I'm pretty sure that's a real thing because it sounded familiar when I read this.
Yes, John, the Prime Meridian is a real thing.
It is a real place because it's 0 by 0.
Yeah. I would be very shocked if Earth didn't have a Prime Meridian.
Well, I knew there was a 0 by 0, but I didn't remember like if the Prime Meridian was like the actual name of it. Of course, they're going to have a 0 by 0, James. But anyway, so they're at the Prime Meridian, and they say, "Oh, this is where I will learn. This is the clockwork model of our solar system, a gift from the same dimension as my Zodiac key." Together, they revealed that this moment was the date of holy alignment, the time of my ascension, I'm sorry. The date of holy alignment, the time of my ascension, at the point at which the future would be mine.
The future will be mine. I can successfully bet on every Super Bowl now and make $1 million. Look, he wants money. If his whole plot is money, he can literally use his powers. Just bet like $1 billion on who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Like, seriously, Back to the Future 2 did this plot already, and it was better.
Because it was practical. He used it to bet on sporting events. I'm going to use future events to take over the world. Even though I'm already seeing the future events where I have not taken over the world.
We are the Zodiac. We are the future. And so everyone starts freaking out because evidently constellations are in the sky, and that's such a rare occurrence to see star constellations.
My God, John, you mean the stars have constellations?
Yes, one chick in here is like, oh my God, this is ISIS. I'm like, I'm pretty sure ISIS hasn't figured out a way to manipulate the stars yet, all right? It's like...
I thought they were talking about an actual constellation called ISIS.
It's like, guys, really? It's like, really? But, so, Spider-Man's like, does this mean we've lost? I don't know, Peter. You're the hero of this book. Can't you figure that out yourself? No, sorry. I'm not smart enough to right now. Hey, Brain, you're the smart one.
I can't figure this out. Oh, Peter, aren't you supposed to be like a really smart, like, kind of like 20-year-old genius? Yeah, but Dan Slott's writing me right now. Oh, that makes sense.
And so it turns out that Nick Fury somehow, after freaking out about it on the opening page, he's like, oh, hey, I'll just emit a laser and shine it in the sky in Morse code to tell them where to go to find Zodiac. Because comics, evidently, all right? Just whatever, all right? That's not even the worst. That's not the worst part of this.
Oh, yes, it is. It's not the worst part, John. But it's because it's leading up to the worst part, so it makes it worse still.
So Zodiac, he makes his star constellations, blah, 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 blah. He starts the age of the Scorpio. And just at that moment, Spider-Man, Mockingbird, and for whatever reason, the Living Brain jump out of the plane, and Spider-Man, says his quippy entrance line, and everyone makes fun of him because, man, you just gave up the element of surprise. And Spider-Man's just like, man, this is why I work alone, because can we stop making Spider-Man look like an idiot in his own book, please? Can we stop? Can we stop? So, yeah, Spider-Man, Mockingbird and the Living Brain. I don't know why the Living Brain is here. I don't know why Ock is in this fight. I swear to God, like, what practical use is this robot butler to this fight? Why is he here?
Because we need him for what happens towards the end of the book, John. We need a reason why he's there.
That's the only reason I can think of. Like, this guy is big, bulky, an easy target. There's no reason he should be in this fight. Like, and there's no practicals. We've never gotten the sense that he's even a slightly good fighter, or even can fight. Why? But okay. Spider-Man, Mockingbird, the Living Brain, they take down the Zodiac General. Spider-Man's like, oh, don't kill anybody. They're just civilians. That's a good moment. I did like that. And so the Scorpio, he bashes his key into the ground because he's charging it up, and he's making a big ground hit to knock out all the heroes at once. Spider-Man gets up. Scorpio takes off his mask and says, so that the Zodiac can fulfill its one true purpose. And to think, after all the battles and all the bloodshed fought over this, no one in S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Avengers ever thought to ask what a giant key was actually for. So Spider-Man, he jumps on him, and he says, now this is a new move. It's all me. Armpit punch. Ow, that really hurt. I don't know what everyone else thought of that, but I thought that was ridiculous. I thought that was stupid. So Spider-Man grabs the key. He runs into the cave. He finds, what's a giant key for? Well, obviously a giant lock on a giant door. But what's on the other side? I'll tell you what it is in one word. It's mine. So they fight. Scorpio gets out of his Spider-Man cement webs. He knocks Spider-Man to the side. He opens the door. At last, I receive my reward. It's power, possibility, information, a door into the future. An entire year, all of it filling my head for me and for me alone. Region, heroes at each other's throats. New you, Norman Osborn. So that's where you've been hiding. Monsters on the rise, Sky Spears, and Otto Octavius. Well, that explains everything. And so what is Spider-Man's brilliant plan to stop Zodiac? Or to stop Scorpio, whatever his name is? Just bash him literally bash him in the next year. He pushes him through the portal, and he lands a year into the future. I guess you could say that Spider-Man's the ultimate procrastinator because he literally pushed his problems. He literally put them off for another year. So, yay, way to go, Peter. Such a good role model for the kids. And so Spider-Man comes out, he sees, Mockingbird, is trying to get the civilians back to normal, blah, 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 blah. And then we get James's favorite moment of the book. I'm sure this is James's favorite moment right here. Anna Maria, are you all right? This robot going batshit crazy because obviously we know it's Doc Ock and he's in love with Anna Maria and he's trying to find her. He's digging through. He's throwing.
It's actually.
He's throwing rubble to the side, and she gets up. Easy, brain. I'm fine. See? Foam airbags. Were you yelling? Or volume control damage adjusting better now. Or click, click. And so Spider-Man explains to Mockingbird how he defeated the Scorpio. She possibly flirts with him. I don't know, but she takes the Zodiac key. She says, yoink! That's going back to S.H.I.E.L.D. too. Whoa. You don't get to say yoink. Yoink is my thing. And she yoinked me. I think that's because she likes you, sweetie. I mean, Peter. But really, Mom? You think she likes me? You think she likes me, Mom? Shh. Watch. I bet you can make her jealous. Don't worry, my little Peter baby. This is really, Mom. Mom, she's got cooties. It's just what this scene comes off as. Like, I swear to God.
It really is. Because I guess a lot of people are saying that this has been hinted, like, in, like, one of the Avenger books or whatever that Mockingbird's also in. That a lot of people are making jokes about it, like, aren't you dating Spider-Man right now? Aren't you dating Spider-Man? So they might be setting up something, but it's really weird.
The problem is I don't care.
The problem with me is why it's weird because you introduce a girlfriend for him who nobody gives a shit about, and then you start teasing a new love interest.
And so, James, is this your favorite part of the issue? This part right here? This is intolerable. I cannot wait any longer. I must accelerate my plans. The time has come for Otto Octavius to make his superior return. Dun, dun, dun. To be continued. To be continued.
You want to lie? Why that would be my favorite? Why that's my favorite part?
Well, James, we'll use that as a segue. What did you think of this issue? Give us some thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, number 11 here.
It's better than the last issue, but that's not saying much. I mean, that's like saying, I forgot who it was. Somebody said this. I remember hearing somebody say this before, where it's like, hey, that's like being shot in the face, surviving it, and then walking out of the hospital and being stabbed in the gut and saying, hey, at least I wasn't shot again.
Now, here's the, that always seems like a stupid analogy to me because I don't really think of one of them as, worse than the other. I think of them as, both awful. And so...
yeah, that's the point. They're both bad.
Exactly. It's that's a really bad analogy, people.
But that's the point of the analogy, is that they're both bad.
I get it, James. I'm trying to discredit this analogy because it's a shit analogy.
Yeah, but your way of trying to discredit it is why the analogy exists.
I know, James.
But anyways, it's just this arc is not that good. And now I know that 12 months from now, I guess we're having another fucking, Scorpio storyline or sliding time scale. At least now we know it probably won't be until hopefully decades anywhere it's a year. But only slash, he'll literally mean real time and have him come back 12 months from now. This guy is not a Spider-Man villain. He belongs in a S.H.I.E.L.D. book. guest starring Spider-Man for a few issues because they have been involved around, Parker Industries. It's a little bit like a story arc in a Shield book where Peter's just guest starring because hey, Parker Industries is one of the companies they're going after, so he feels like he has to get involved in this. It's one thing. It's not because for like the last how many months and how many issues, Scorpio is basically being built up now as he's the Spider-Man's big villain.
Let's see. That was the first issue of this volume, which came out in, was it September?
September, October, something like that.
So we're going on pretty much the length of this entire school year.
Yep. Think about it. It's been what, 11 issues, right? It's been 11 issues.
Well,
that would have been a year of comics. We wasted a year in comics on this, John.
We had the Mr. Negative story where Scorpio wasn't in it, but we've had, let's call it 8 issues of Zodiac in Scorpio that no one asked for.
It's just like I don't like this guy as a villain. I don't like his little Zodiacs to begin with. I thought they were dumb in the first issue, and I thought it would be dumb with him like in a few issues, so it'd be okay. We get all the cool stuff, but obviously we didn't. So
I will be honest with you.
You ready to say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I will be honest with you. I did not expect Zodiac to stay in this book as long as they did.
Oh, they stayed longer than that. At least it felt longer than that. It was, oh my god, it's just so bad. These guys, I don't care about them as villains. They're not Spider-Man villains. That's why. And then you get to the rest of this, and it's just like, I don't care about what's his name, which reminds me about all the other people who I gotta call them at Parker Industries. What's their names? Literally, we haven't seen anything from other people in Peter's life, hardly, like Aunt May. We haven't seen much of Aunt May. We haven't seen much of Jonah. We haven't seen much of Harry besides for a few issues, like 2.
He was in this issue, but he didn't.
39. I said 2, no why? Because I forgot about that damn region thing a few issues ago.
Yeah, and remember, James, he's Harry Lyman now, because evidently using your mother's maiden name as a substitute for your other name, which was your psychotic father's name, using your mother's maiden name is a really good disguise in the Marvel Universe, apparently.
It's just like, I don't get it. It's so stupid. It's like, and then you get to the Donald shit, and it's like, really? The idiot Paul is back. Hey, Braid, are you screaming when you were like trying to save my life like Otto probably would? Oh, just the volume was not correct. Here, let me just turn down my volume now. Okay, here we go. Better now. You didn't see anything. It's that shit again. It's like, why is this back in the book? There's being subtle, and then there's being people are idiots again about Otto. And then you get to the end where it's like, I shall make my superior return. And it's like, no shit. We already got the sport. We already got the teaser. And again, it's like, oh my god. Which means now we're going to have a whole year until that story comes out and no more. Or it's going to feel like a year.
Well, I mean, it doesn't start until like October, so we still have quite a bit to go.
It's going to get to that point where I'm just going to get to it, and it's going to be like, they're going to do more of this. Where it's going to be him clearly being Otto, and then people are going to be idiots to it. Until finally it's revealed, gas, Otto's brain was in the living brain the whole time. And then it's like, yeah, you should have saw that coming. Especially you, Peter, after the fucking bullshit that after you, when you were like that little blue force ghost and you were screaming, why is everybody being so stupid here and can't tell the difference? And now you're going to be the same thing now for like how many months? Bullshit.
But James, don't you get it? That's the irony because of the Parker luck. Because that's totally what the Parker luck is.
You got that. And it's just like, I'm calling bullshit on it. I'm calling bullshit on this comic. Because it is.
So, James, do I even need to ask for a thumb rating on this?
Oh, can I bring up the Mockingbird point because I don't like it?
Okay.
I don't like the Mockingbird thing because I don't give a shit about the other girlfriend. What's her name? The one with the dying mom or whatever.
Leanne.
I don't give a shit about her. So how can I have this now love triangle that Dan's trying to write when I don't even give a shit about the first party?
The point of love triangles, at least as I've always known them, is that not only is the character involved conflicted about who to choose, like the person who's at the center of it, the person who the affections are being fought for. The point of love triangles is not only for that character to be conflicted, but for the audience to be conflicted. It's like you're rooting for one pairing or another. In this one, we don't care.
We got no Team Edward, Team Jacob. We got no Mary Jane or Gwen. We got none of those things that make love triangles. I know I mentioned Twilight, but I'm saying it because that's like the most recent love triangle I can think of in like pop culture. You gotta have a reason to root for one side than the other. Right now, you got one girlfriend I don't give a shit about, and then Mockingbird, who I don't want to see in an issue of Amazing Spider-Man ever again.
And so the love triangle aspect is just completely failing for us.
It's like, again, like John said earlier, where it felt like I could write a better comic book, like I can write better than this. Why didn't he just substitute Mockingbird with Miss Marvel?
And James, I want to bring up a point that you made to me before the show. And I told James this. I was like, what his idea is probably is a really good idea that this comic missed an opportunity on. There's the point in this comic where Peter shoves Scorpio into the future. It is never said that Peter actually heard Scorpio announcing all of the things about the region and Norman and Otto and all of this. We just assume Peter didn't hear it. And so, James, I'd like you to explain your idea for how this story could be made better and what they could do with this story that they missed out on.
Hi, I'm James Markin from WhatSpiderman.com. No, it's a joking, but I'm a huge fan of What Culture, and they do this kind of thing with wrestling where it's like how I would have booked it, and here's how I would have wrote this, because I'm a smart ass who can do it better. Hashtag Team Adam. Anyways, the cool thing about this is the way I would have wrote this, and Johnny agrees why he thinks, I'm not saying cool because I think it's cool, because John actually said he thinks it's cool. I would have wrote this whole arc as the first arc. This is the whole first arc. It's only 3 to 4 issues, it's done, and then we go on to the Mr. Negative shit and some other stuff, and then we got character development and those for more of the new cast and the old cast and all that stuff, all leading up until Civil War 2 and all that stuff. You end the issue with like 3, 4, maybe 5 at the most. Zodiac says those lines. Peter hears them, and then you spend this whole time of the next, however many months in the issue, Peter trying to prevent this future. And then how, in some cases, he may prevent something. Because you can throw in a red herring there, like, say, the return of, Morbius or Morlon or Spider-Verse 2 or something like that. And Peter, you can have some of these things being bullshit that Peter prevents, and other things where he actually causes them because he's trying to prevent this stuff. And you can have a really good storytelling as he goes to the region, because all he hears is the region. And he thinks, okay, who is that guy? Well, Harry says that I was a guy who saved my family. Okay, here's Peter going down now thinking that Region's a good guy, and then all of a sudden he gets fucked over by because Region's trying to manipulate this universe of Spider-Man and helping him take down all the heroes. That can turn into Peter, being on bad sides with Civil War, and then that explains his position during the war, and you can go on from there. You can explain him like trying to figure out if this guy's Norman. Turns out it's not Norman, and the real Norman Osborn comes back because he wants to return the Green Goblin from the fake guy with the bandages. Then you can do like Otto returns, and as he's trying to prevent whatever causing Otto to come back, he does something with the living brain, and surprise brain downloads his consciousness into an Otto clone or something like that, or his old body, and then also Doc Ock's back. You can do that. And then, like I said, and it's for the love thing. I would have not had it being Mockingbird. I would have had it being Miss Marvel.
Because we have to specify the Carol Danvers Miss Marvel, not the Kamala Miss Marvel.
Yeah, not the teenage girl. When I say Miss Marvel, I'm talking about because I'm going back to when they were teasing this back during Friday Day. I mean Captain Marvel. Sorry, I'm just so used to calling her Miss Marvel still this day. Not a teenager at 16. That'd be creepy. I want to clarify. I meant Captain Marvel. I meant Carol. I would have had it been her because They already have teased, romance for them, like I said, during the Brandon Day era. So there's some kind of attraction. How Venom, when he bonds during Siege for like a few seconds with Carol and the symbiote, he goes, "I sense that you have some kind of attraction to Peter." Or Spider-Man, because remember the mind block, he doesn't know it's Peter, but she senses some kind of attraction to Spider-Man in her. And so you already get the sense that they do have something. You can tease that there's still something there between both of them, and you can tease this during this arc. And then in Civil War II, you understand why Peter is on her side. Because you can say they got together, they're dating, and he's choosing to be on the side of his girlfriend than the guy who screwed him the last time there was a Civil War.
You see, James, I'm hearing all of these ideas, and I like all of these ideas. I feel like it's good storytelling. It's setting things up and paying them off later on. Here, we're just getting set up and no payoff, or payoff for things that were never even set up in the first place. And so, I like James's theory for what I like James's idea for what this book could have been. And I feel sad that it's not in this book. And so, James, I will just ask you right now, thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down for ASM Volume 4, Number 11? Thumbs down. All
and
right.
before this whole arc?
For the whole arc, he gets 2 thumbs down. I will say that, like James, I did not hate this issue as much as the previous issue. I'm going to go easier on it. And I think most of my points James already articulated, and most of my other points I articulated in my recap. I don't like Spider-Man still being an idiot in his own book. I absolutely hate that. I'm so sick of it. The beginning scene where Peter says, "I blew it, and this time it feels like I've let the whole world down," that is overdoing it so much. And it's like, oh my God, did Zack Snyder write this comic and is Henry Cavill playing Peter? Because if I want to watch this crap, I'll watch Man of Steel or something. I do like Peter saving the civilians. I do like that. It's something that I definitely think he'd be concerned about. I like the artwork. Once again, Cam McCauley, Smith, Garcia, they knock it out of the park pretty much all the time. So that's almost kind of a given at this point. Something that we haven't brought up that is really, really important, I think, to bring up. Remember how the last issue ended with this big, dramatic cliffhanger where Scorpio was saying, I'm a controlling shareholder of Parker Industries. If news gets out about this and what I've been doing, it'll compromise your company. It could destroy everything you've done. I could bring this whole thing to its knees. I could destroy you. And Peter says, I'd be willing to give it all up just to stop you, Scorpio. And it was this big dramatic cliffhanger like, oh my God, is Parker Industries, is it going to survive this story? What's going to happen? How is Parker Industries, is something going to happen? Is the information going to come out? Is Peter going to be compromised? Blah, 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 blah. Are there going to be any ramifications from this whatsoever? The answer to that is no. Because, remember that big dramatic cliffhanger that I just described to you? Guess how many times it's even mentioned in this issue? 0. They literally didn't even remember their hook from the last issue to bring it into this one.
Even a reference appears saying, like Mockingbird, somebody saying, hey, Peter, what are we going to do in a year when he comes back, though? He's still going to have that thing with your company. And Peter goes, well, I got a year then to plan and get ready for it and have some kind of thing to do something. Like maybe throw him under the – they say, hey, we fired him because – if Peter can turn this into a positive, they say, hey, we found out this guy's been cheating the stock market and we fired him. Then it still makes his company look good. He's not in the wrong. Hey, we found out that somebody in your company was using funds, and doing some illegal tactics to get, things to look through the stock market. And we got rid of him. He's no longer on the board of directors. He's gone. He could say something like that. He goes, I'll say that to the media, and then when he comes back in a year, I'll come up with a game plan so that way when it gets to that day, I'll deal with it then. No, we just get a whole, he's gone for 365 days.
And I will admit, James, you mentioned how you're worried that he's going to come back in a year, that we're going to have another Scorpio Zodiac story in a year. That was exactly what came into my mind when I was reading this. I was like, oh my God, are we going to have to deal with this shit again next spring? Are you kidding me? Please don't let that be the case.
Because I'm hoping that when Dan does that, he means in Marvel time with the everything with the it's like time scale. So that means a year Marvel time is like a decade our time or whatever. I hope that means that it won't be till a decade when he'll pop up in like an issue of Avengers, or take them down or whatever. I hope that that's the case, but I got a feeling he means 12 months our time.
So I did not like that. It's just like, man, you couldn't even remember your own cliffhanger, really. I didn't like the Peter Parker being an idiot in his own book. I didn't like that. I didn't like the lack of the cliffhanger resolution. It's a thumb sideways for me. It's just like, it's just meh. Like I didn't like absolutely hate this comic. I didn't like it either. It's just like, it's just meh. Like, I'll bring it up again. I mentioned this for a reason. I should be more excited to read this book than I am Captain America Steve Rogers. I should be more excited for Amazing Spider-Man. And I'll bring up, the Civil War II ads because I'm excited to read that book. I should be more excited for this book. I'll be honest with you. I don't get excited for this book. I don't. I read it because it's Amazing Spider-Man, because I love doing this show and all that, but I don't get excited for this book. I read it and I'm just like, yeah, that was okay. It was not anything great.
That sure was a comic. I can quote you from a few while ago.
And we get this ad, which this comic comes out this coming Wednesday, May 4th. We're not going to be talking about it next week. We're going to push that back to a couple weeks from now. Because next week's going to be all movie talk, so don't expect a comic review next week. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Unless there's something so big in that comic that it doesn't just like blurt out during the Captain America thing. Like if it's something we have to talk about, like right then and there, because we're going to say it anyways.
But seeing as it's a part one, I doubt it. Yeah. I'd say there's about.
There's got to be something that's like earth shaking, in the book for us to say screw that. We're going to talk about the comic too.
But I don't anticipate that. It's probably
don't expect it, and if it is, it's going to be something like, hey, that one panel and how it compares to that to Civil War, because it's a similar thing. How this storyline's building up to Spider-Man's position during Civil War. That's what I got. I think when we get it next week, I think that Road to Civil War banner is on a lot of books. I'm calling it that this story arc's going to have Road to Civil War on its banner.
Yeah, but I mean, am I excited to read ASM number 12? Here's the most exciting part of it for me. I'm sorry, I have to use one hand to hold this up right now, but
it's the redhead.
Yeah, it's Mary Jane, because I'm excited to see her in the book.
And like I said, I'm fearing it. I just, once again, like my comic predictions on how I see this going right now with how storylines are going is she's going to call him out for Civil War I. And he was wrong for taking her Aunt May out of the house, which is going to be bullshit. I think that's what's going to happen.
And you see these characters over here, the Avengers. Yeah, I like the Avengers book by Mark Waid right now. I think that's really good. I like a lot of their solo books. Miles' book is good. Sam's book is good. Tony's book is good, where MJ's in it right now. I like seeing all these other characters that I'm really enjoying their books right now. I don't give a crap about the Amazing Spider-Man storyline. I don't. And it's like, I hate to be that guy who says that something's going to be terrible before it happens. This book is welcome to prove me wrong, but I'm not excited for it because it just my excitement has been sucked out of this.
I don't even think the Avengers are going to be in that long, John. Like, I think the whole point they're going to be is Regent's going to want to do the same thing he did in the Regency. He took over their bodies and killed them and, took their powers.
Well, the point I'm making here is, I'm more, looking at this advertisement, Spider-Man is not what gets me excited. It's all the other characters on the picture that spark interest in me.
Minus Regent.
But it's like...
Regent sounds like, not learning from past mistakes. He's like, I'm just going to do the same thing I did in my universe.
Yes, because evidently Albert Einstein never lived in the Regency part of the Battle World place, and they never, he never said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Apparently, that was never said in that universe. But it's like, yeah, I'm not excited for this. I'm hella excited to see Civil War next week. I'm really excited to see that movie. I'm really excited to see how Spider-Man's incorporated. I'm really excited to read the next issue of Miles' book next month. I'm really excited to read the Avengers and all that. I'm not excited for Amazing Spider-Man. The anticipation has been yanked out of me by a status quo that I was willing to give a chance. I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Remember back months ago when the first issue of this volume came out, I was very positive. I was ready to give it an A. I'm giving C- at best now, pretty much. And I've always tried to find something to like in these books. I've always tried to be like the guy who's not completely negative, because I've never been that person. I've never been like the overly negative, everything sucks kind of guy. I try not to be that person. But I'm not excited for this book anymore. And, viewers who watch our show week in and week out, they've seen us. How many issues in a row have we given like thumbs down, or at least a thumb sideways to? Like at most a thumb sideways. Like,
yeah, it's got to be since this run began. Like at least one of us since this run began at least gave at least one side we are going.
It's like when I give it, I was very positive towards the Mr. Negative storyline. That was the last time I even liked this. Like, granted, that was 3 issues ago, but that was 3 months ago. It's like, and even then, like I pointed out problems at the end of the Mr. Negative storyline that I absolutely didn't like, and I've been pointing out flaws that I've had with this run. While not being overly negative, I've had problems with this run since it began, really. And now, even back when I was more positive, I still had problems with this, and now it's just like we need. I think I'm probably gonna say this every time we review this book. I do not mean to offend Dan Slott.
I think I know where you're going.
I do not mean to offend Dan Slott. He's written some really good stories. No One Dies that we've reviewed on this show. Love that story. I really like the first Big Time story. I really like his work with the Failure Hobgoblin.
He has some really good stories. Like my favorite Spider-Man stories out of the last 3 months. I mean, the last couple of years, like 3 years, like not the Superior ended, I guess you could say, or whatever, have been Learning to Crawl and Renew Your Vows. He written both of them. Yeah,
I like Renew Your Vows a lot. I like Spider Island a lot. I like I like all of his Hobgoblin stuff. I think I said that already. I like Spider-Verse. I know James didn't like Spider-Verse. I like Spider-Verse. I enjoyed that story. We need a new writer on this book.
We're not going to get it, though.
We're not going to get one, though.
As long as those checks keep coming in from Marvel that says, we're making money on ASM, he's on the book. So he outright said, I am not leaving. They're going to have to kill me to get me off this book. That's basically what he has said. You're going to have to kill me to get me off this book. They're going to have to fire me. They're going to have to just cancel all Spider-Man books. Get me off Spider-Man.
So for people who are not enjoying this book right now, like myself, I intend to keep buying it because it's Amazing Spider-Man. I love doing this show, and really, if it's Amazing Spider-Man, I'm going to buy it anyway because I'm addicted to comic paper. But
it's weird because me and John have said this before, like off air and like in private checks. We don't want to bring up. We try our best not to bring up all their Spider-Man websites and YouTube videos and podcasts. And we used to say stuff like, we don't want to be the negative podcast who gives negative reviews to everything. We don't want to be the podcast who you have people who are quitting the podcasts, doing podcasts, and so like they don't like the book no more, and dropping the title or only reading it because they're on a podcast and stuff like that.
And here's the thing,
John, are like literally, we can see that point of view almost right now because there's times when we're reading this volume where we're both at that point like if we weren't on this show, I wouldn't be buying this.
And like, here's the thing, I still don't want to be that negative show, but I also don't want to just come on here and pretend I like something when I didn't.
We don't want to look like those kind of people who, are everything's like give 100% positive A+ grades when the book is not that good, because there are people who are like that. We're not going to name names. We're not going to say name names. We're not going to try to offend anybody. But there are obviously people when you go online, when you see some reviews and whatever, it's like they're giving stuff, flat out, and if you like something, you like something. But it's like finding zero faults in something is like the definition of. There's a lot of things I like where I know there's faults in it. I like the I like the Star Wars prequels, and I know there's problems with them. I still like it, but I know there's problems with it.
And here's the thing. James was saying, we don't want to be the negative podcast. We don't want to be those guys. We still don't want to be the negative podcast. But just to give the viewers an inside look into my psyche, which I know you all were asking for. My approach to reviewing and to doing this show is that I will look for things in these comics that I can like. I look for that in every comic. I do, because that is, in my opinion, the point of all this. Entertainment, and to get enjoyment out of it. I look, whether it's an A+ thing or an F- thing, which, yes, F- is a real thing depending on what teacher you talk to. I've had teachers who have given some of my friends F- before. But, depending on what the comic is, no matter what it is, I will still look for things that I like. I will actively seek out things to like. You know why? Because that's just the kind of person that I am with this stuff. But when I see things that I really don't like, I will be honest about it, because I think that, if we're not honest and authentic, then we're missing the point. And so I have to be honest with this book. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I still do not want to be the negative podcast, but for those of you who, like myself, who are not enjoying Amazing Spider-Man right now, I'd recommend, I'm sure there's fan fiction out there. I'm sure there's probably fan fiction that's better than this.
The sad thing is I wouldn't even go that far. You know why? Because I have said this the longest time. I feel like the run since Superior has been fan fiction.
It's like there's fan fiction out there that's better than this. There's that Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, that's designed for preschoolers. That's better than this. That understands the character more than this does. I give it a thumb sideways. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. And that's...
And again, if Dan Slott is watching this, we're not saying this to be assholes to you.
We just
I've always said, back during the Rainy Day era, if you had asked me what kind of guy would I want to be the ongoing Spider-Man writer out of all the guys who was writing in the big time during the Rainy Day era, who did I want to be the ongoing writer after this ended? I always would have said Dan Slott's the best writer. I hope that if we get one of these guys to stay on the book for a long time, it's going to be Dan. And now it's to the point that I almost regret those words.
Because it's not that we want to insult Dan Slott. We're not those guys, but we just don't like the book. And so, I think that's all we can say about this. It's just, I think we've rambled on and on about this for long enough. So that's going to conclude the review for this week. That's also going to conclude this episode of the podcast. We don't have anything else to say. We've rambled on long enough. I've repeated this several times throughout this podcast, but I'll repeat it again because we've had people going, we've had viewers going in and out of the show. So I'll just repeat it again for those of you who may not have heard it. Next week, solely movie talk. All right, we're not going to be talking any comics. We are not going to really discuss anything unless it's like major that we have to talk about it. We're really not going to be discussing anything other than the movie. So definitely, I'll just warn you right now, next week's show will have spoilers in it. It should be understood because, when I put in the title Captain America Civil War review, that should imply spoilers. But I know some people, people are not going to know that because evidently spoilers are not an understood thing.
You gotta say spoiler free on your video, and even then people will complain about spoilers.
Exactly. So it's just like, or you could put spoilers, spoilers, Captain, spoilers, America, spoilers, Civil. Spoilers.
And people, but like I said, there's this one show I watched where one guy made a comment about, I hope I can't wait to see this character in the sequel. And people bitch at him for spoiling the whole movie because they knew that the guy lived at the end.
Exactly. So it's just like, Spoilers. We're gonna have spoilers in the next episode. So when we do the next episode, if you've not seen the movie yet, don't watch the show. Don't watch the show until after you've seen the movie. All right. And I will say that at the beginning of the next episode because I know we'll get people who do that. So I will say it again at the beginning of the next episode. I'm going to say it now. Don't watch the next episode until you've seen the movie. But yes, next week will be all movie talk. We'll discuss Tom Holland, MCU Spidey in depth. Expect to get our thoughts on that. And we may throw in what we're hoping to see from Spider-Man Homecoming. We haven't decided that yet. We may throw something.
This will basically be what John has been waiting for since ASM 2 ended. Because John and I still remember back in the old podcast, so John was like, oh my God, we're not going to get any Spider-Man news every week like we were getting for Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
And that was basically prophetic, wasn't it? Because that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. We had news, like Marvel getting the character back and stuff like that, and who was cast the plan, but they're falling short. Now after Captain America Civil War, we're going to have a year now where it's going to be waiting for trailers, waiting for teasers, end credit scenes, and other Marvel movies, all that stuff.
We're going to have set pictures, all that stuff. So, we're going to have plot details leaking probably. So, yeah, we're going to have some news over this next year. So it's probably after next week. It's probably going to be busy this next year. So, get ready, folks.
We're going to have at least some kind of news like for the next year. Because I think on even weeks where we're going to have slow movie news, we're going to have some kind of, is Spider-Man going to be in this Marvel movie, or this comic news about this comic event or whatever. Yeah,
so get ready, folks. I mean, this next year we're looking up a bit. So so James, any final shout outs or words for the listeners before we sign off?
Like I said, there was a shout out I wanted to give, when we began the show. That's to Marcus Feelers. That one in Cernivent, Wisconsin. That is a pretty awesome one. Badass, like I said. They have, a bar and grill inside the restaurant, which you can eat and drink while you're at your movie. That's cool. They have live music. It looks really fancy. It's like Art Deco, like the Art Deco style theater, but with this very modern and almost like very high society. Like the prices are reasonable, like any other movie theater with prices. Like reasonable for a movie theater where the concession stands are more than tickets of the movie. But
literally.
I mean, it's like very fancy. Like you go to this theater, you think you're spending like $30 to go see your movie when you're not. You're going to kind of Tuesday for like $5. It's a really nice theater. So shout out to them if you're ever in like southeastern Wisconsin and you want to go see a movie. I recommend going to that theater. It's really nice, and that's my shout out this week.
My shout out this week: Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. Thank you for Spider-Man, all that stuff. Other shout out this week: the doctors at my local hospital who X-rayed my arm and figured out what was wrong with it, and also to my local Mark's store for this $20 cast splint thing.
Is that kind of like some Ohio thing?
Yeah, it's a local Ohio store.
Right.
But it's basically CVS.
It's like if I mentioned Culver's.
Exactly.
You have no idea what Culver's is, don't you?
But I can imply from context clues.
What is the context clue? What is it? What do you think it is? Shout out to Culver's. No, it's not a middle finger. It's a restaurant. I have a friend who works there. They have amazing ice cream, like their custard is like to die for, and they have really good burgers. Everyone in Wisconsin, go to Culver's. Shout out to them.
But shout out to Marks for giving me my $20 cast. What else? What else? Shout out this week. The Spidey book was actually really good this week. I enjoyed that. The Spidey #5. I recommend that if you're a Spider-Man fan. That's some good Spider-Man right there.
Not continuity, but it's good Spider-Man.
Yeah. Avengers Standoff. The end of that event this week was really good. Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson had a really good moment in there. That was really good. Other than that, I don't recommend screwing up your wrist. I don't recommend that. I also don't recommend screwing up your wrist so badly that you can't play piano a week before your piano final. This was not good timing.
Do you got a doctor's excuse for that wrist?
Yes, I do. So I just have to do this hand now, but this was really not good timing.
No, I'm about to say that 'cause I can just see your professor be like, "Oh yeah, you happen to break that hand, so you can't do your final." Mm-hmm.
No, my professor is like really cool, so like he understood, and plus I did get doctor stuff for this, but this was really bad timing, just really bad timing. All right, and so
Unless you get auto, you break your wrist.
other than that, yeah, I guess we don't really have anything else to say this week. So thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week. Movie show, Captain America: Civil War. Whatever stupid reason, country, every other country in the freaking world gets it before we do, but whatever. This is America. Okay, I've just pissed off every single non-American viewer.
But I think the context they would agree with us because the movie's Captain America. It's not like you're saying we deserve to get first because it's just generic superhero movie. We're talking about Captain America not coming to America yet.
All right,
And
but
yes, I deliberately did America.
we love our non-American, we love our foreign viewers. But anyway,
I got no problems. I got friends from all over the world. I got friends from Japan. I got friends from Taiwan. I got friends from Australia.
we had a British person. We had a British person on this podcast.
We both have a mutual, acquaintance. I'll say acquaintance for me because I haven't really talked to him since then. But you have a friend who's British, and we have a mutual acquaintance who is from the UK. We have no problem. We're not xenophobic. We're just kind of trying to find that Captain America is not in America first.
Don't worry. Donald Trump is not on this podcast.
No, he's not. But you know who is? Me. I'm on this podcast, and I approve this message. Good night, folks.